dear researchers and all these friends from the CEE countries and China, it is a very great honor for me and also a very nice duty to be the moderator of the conference on changing Chinese travel trends, digitalization and management. My name is Zsuzsa Vince, and I am the executive of the China CEE's Tourism Coordination Center, the main organizer of the conference. The present conference is the closing event of a half-year project which we started in April 2022, and our project was supported throughout by the Eurasia Center Hungary. When we decided to invite young researchers to write papers on the topic, we were led by the conviction that the crisis in tourism, which was caused by COVID-19 pandemic, and the Russian-Ukrainian war did not only make harm, but also presented a unique opportunity to switch our minds and start to think differently about the future of travels between China and the Central and Eastern European countries. First of all, let me thank the applicants for the effort they put in writing their papers. We are proud to have announced that we received dozens of excellent work from both the CEE region and Chinese researchers. Let me also thank the members of the evaluation committee for taking up the job and devoting their time to read and evaluate the papers. I think they did huge work, and it must have been a big responsibility to make the right decision on the winners. I'd like to express my special thanks to the Eurasia Center, particularly to Mr. Levente Horváth, the founder and director of the center, who was kind enough to offer precious help in realizing the project, granting the financial support for the prizes, and publishing the volume containing the studies that you can see behind me. It is the volume that is going to be published by Eurasia Center very soon. Please note that this conference is being recorded and you can listen back at the website of the Eurasia Center, www.eurasiacenter.hu. Dear participants, today we are going to announce the winners, the owners of the 4 best research papers, and we will also announce the candidate who won the special prize. But before this ceremonial act and the winners' presentations, let me give the virtual floor to our most honored guests and lecturers who we invited to the conference to speak about the future of China CEE tourism. Let me first give the word and the virtual floor to Ms. Zhang Yu, Ambassador of China CEE Relations and the Secretariat from the Secretariat of China CEE in the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of China. We feel very honored that Ms. Ambassador accepted our invitation to speak and will share her thoughts with the audience. Let's listen to her. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy State Secretary, Mr. Adam Stifter, Your Excellency, Ambassador Mahdi Beshti, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. First of all, on behalf of the Chinese Foreign Ministry and Secretariat for China CEEC Cooperation, I would like to extend warm congratulations on the opening of the conference. Since ancient times, the Central and Eastern European region has always been a place where the East and West converge. Famous for its time-honored history and splendid culture, the CEE country is also the birthplace of many great artists, musicians, and thinkers. Despite the geographical distance, China and CEE countries enjoy friendly relations. Our friendship has been deepening and being enriched ever since the establishment of diplomatic ties 7 decades ago. In 2012, with the regional goal of pursuing win-win cooperation and common development, China and CEE countries joined hands and launched China CEEC Cooperation. 10 years on, cooperation in various fields keeps yielding fruitful results. One important area that draws our peoples closer is a flourishing tourism cooperation. Promoted by the China CEC High-Level Meeting on Tourism Cooperation and China CEC Tourism Coordination Center, among other platforms, direct flights have been established between China and Hungary, the Czech Republic, Poland, and Serbia, boosting people-to-people exchanges and tourism development. From 2012 to 2019, the number of Chinese tourists visiting CEE countries increased nearly fourfold to 2.16 million. Yet compared with the total sum of Chinese overseas visits, which stands at 155 million, there is still huge potential to be unleashed. Facts have shown that China CEC cooperation has indeed become another important engine, in addition to the bilateral engine and China-EU engine, driving the development of friendly relations between China and CEE countries, and has effectively elevated the overall level of cooperation between China and CEE countries. Tourism is not only a wide-ranging industry that drives economic growth, but also a bridge connecting civilizations, cultures, and enhancing friendly ties. We Chinese people value tourism. Just as the ancient Chinese saying goes, one enriches one's life by traveling 10,000 miles and reading 10,000 books. However, due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, traveling in recent years has turned from physical to digital. A variety of cloud travel products have come to meet a new tourism demand. More and more people turn to cloud travel at home by watching virtual roadshows or live streams about CEE countries. Facing the post-pandemic era, the two sides should take into account our respective specialties and advantages, and fully tap into the potential for cooperation. Both China and CEE countries are rich in tourist and cultural resources. China is an ancient civilization with a history of more than 5,000 years. It is blessed with abundant tourist resources, and 56 sites have been listed as a World Cultural or Natural Heritage. We sincerely welcome more CEE tourists to come to China after pandemic and get a first-hand experience of the Oriental culture. Going forward, we would like to make the following proposals. First, tourism industry introduces more high-quality tourism products and services that better meet the needs of consumers of all countries. Policy-making bodies, trade associations, airlines, travel agencies, and other institutions can take active actions to promote the popularity of CEE countries in China. We believe the China CEC Tourism Coordination Center and Chinese travel agencies in CEE countries can play an active part in this regard. Second, create special tourist routes that link regional countries more closely and conveniently. Regional countries with rich tourist resources, such as Hungary, Greece, and Croatia, can serve as pivot points. And cities with direct flights to China, such as Budapest, Belgrade, and Warsaw, can serve as transportation hubs. Third, the Balkan countries can actively explore and jointly create regional tourism packages for Chinese tourists, so as to make use of the visa-free advantages of the region to attract more Chinese tourists. Fourth, mass media can play a positive role in tourism outreach. National television stations of the two sides can jointly produce documentaries to make tourist attractions and cultural resources known to the public. Dear friends, I believe this conference is a great platform for enhancing exchanges, building consensus, as well as expanding cooperation. It will contribute to deepening mutual understanding and friendship between our peoples and promoting cooperation and development between China and CEE countries. In conclusion, I wish this conference a full success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ambassador. And I think that we have heard very useful advice and very detailed advice on how to continue the travels between China and CEE. Okay, I can say that on behalf of the Tourism Coordination Center of China CEE, we are determined to continue the hard work that we have done so far. Okay, so our second speaker today is Mr. Adam Stifter, Deputy State Secretary who is responsible for the development of Eastern relations of Hungary from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. He will throw a light on the China-CEE's tourism relations from the perspective of my country, Hungary, the country who has the privilege to coordinate the tourism platform of China-CEE from the beginning 2014. Okay, so Mr. State Secretary, the floor is yours now.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very glad to be with you today. China is a world leader in tourism, and Europe has been the number 2 destination for outbound Chinese travelers. Travel between Europe and China has grown rapidly, despite the fact that they are long-haul markets for each other. Before the pandemic, the most visited destinations were Western Europe countries like the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain. But China plays an outstanding role in the tourism of Central and Eastern Europe as well, being an increasingly important source market and an exciting destination. The CEE region started to receive Chinese travelers later than Western Europe, and in smaller numbers, of course. In 2009, the number of Chinese tourists in the region was 161,000. They spent almost 300,000 nights in the Central and Eastern European countries. The small countries of Central and Eastern Europe started to receive a special attention from China since 2012, when the 16+1 cooperation mechanism was launched. By 2014, Chinese arrivals increased to more than 500,000 visitors and almost 1 million Chinese guest nights. Hungary has the honor to operate the China CEE's Tourist Coordination Center, which received the responsibility to coordinate China CEE tourism relations at the levels of diplomacy, national tourism organizations, and businesses. The Tourist Coordination Center has made tremendous efforts to build the CEE brand in China. The CEE countries have made joint promotions under the umbrella of the TCC at international travel fairs, B2B meetings and conferences in China and also in Europe. 5 years after the start of tourist cooperation in 2019, right before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the CEE region received more than 2.6 million Chinese tourists who spent almost 4 million nights here. We believe that by now the CEE is a tourist brand name in China. Among the best performer countries in terms of Chinese visits were the Czech Republic, Hungary and Croatia, while Poland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro and Serbia are new potential with steeply growing figures. Direct flight connections between the People's Republic of China and CEE capitals were a major factor in the development of mutual tourism relations. The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic ruined the spectacular development of mutual tourism and interrupted their connections. The pandemic made a lot of harm to tourist businesses and service providers, of course, causing them to suffer or even face bankruptcy. The crisis swept away more than 90% of the performance of China CEE tourism. Chinese arrivals to Central and Eastern European countries fell to a small fraction of the 2019 data. It all came as a great shock, but the Tourist Coordination Center took it as a huge challenge. The TCC adapted to the changed situation, realized that Chinese travelers turned to online platforms and started to cloud travel. In order to preserve the pre-COVID status in the mutual tourism relations, the TCC switched to online platforms and did live streams for Chinese audience, virtual road shows for Chinese trade professionals, and educational webinars for travel agencies and students to increase the knowledge of the two regions of each other. COVID has been with us for more than 2 years. Now the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia deters Chinese travelers from visiting Europe. However, the travel barometer by European Travel Commission shows that Chinese interest in European cities has increased significantly compared to a year ago. The countries of the CEE region want to be among the first ones to recapture Chinese visitors. The TCC recognized that the region's pre-COVID tourism supply will not be enough, and earlier this year it addressed young researchers and students. Together with Eurasia Center and TCC published a call for papers, Changing Chinese Travel Trends, Digitalization and Management, in order to mobilize the energies that can serve the region's good restart after the crisis. Today's conference is a ceremonial closing event of the joint research project. 18 candidates from the Central and Eastern European countries submitted their research, and today the writers of the 4 best papers will be announced and receive the opportunity to present their findings. The research papers on changing Chinese tourism trends do not only demonstrate the CEE's region devotion to China, but will help travel agencies and service providers to develop new products for Chinese travelers or adapt to the new demand. Thank you very much for the attention. I wish you, all of you, a good health and a very successful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. State Secretary. And dear ladies, dear gentlemen, dear friends, we have also invited guest speakers today here from the tourism industry, from some countries who can boast with outstanding performance in Chinese tourism. Greece, which was not mentioned here by Mr. Stifter, is an extraordinary player in the CEE group. Greece is the country that joined the China-CEE Tourism Cooperation, the latest in 2019, the latest of us all. Greece enriched our cooperation with a very invaluable set of assets. They are a role model who showed us how to conquer Chinese market, and an eager student at the same time who want to learn from the others. A great and motivated team player, I can say, who you love to work together with. From Greece, Miss Olympia Anastasopoulou, Secretary General from the Tourism Ministry of Greece, is with us today. I give the word to her and let her greet you and share her thoughts on Chinese tourism with you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greece proudly participates since 2019 in the 14+1 initiative. This year, we are more than happy to celebrate 2 Greek candidacies in 2 categories: National and Regional Tourism Organization, GNTO Beijing Office, and Travel Agency Tour Operator, Traces of Greece category. Greece will continue to stay dedicated in the causes of the initiative and work for the promotion of the joint tourist product of the CEE countries in the Chinese market. According to the data published by the Hellenic Statistical Authority, Greece recorded 40,576 arrivals and 756,000 overnight stays in tourist accommodation establishments, hotel, campsites and rental rooms by Chinese travelers in 2019. However, the spread of the pandemic of COVID-19 and the travel restrictions imposed to mitigate the negative effects of the virus led to a dramatic fall of the number of Chinese visitors in the country in 2020. Changes in the tourism sector, already evident before the pandemic, became even more clear, creating challenges for both tourism organizations and the travel industry. A major trend for the Chinese travel market is the change of preference in favor of free independent traveling and customized experiences compared to the traditional group traveling. Safety and flexibility in travel bookings play a more decisive role than before. Technology is also a crucial factor for Chinese travelers. Internet, social media, and information from friends, family affect the way a trip is organized. Mobile phone applications, almost all Chinese traveler payments, as well as QR codes, which can be scanned by the mobile phone and thus transmit any information directly, play also a significant role. Our touring strategy for 2022, as formulated by the Greek Ministry of Tourism, aims to promote Greece as a global attractive tourist destination, all year around, that offers unique, authentic, and unlimited travel experiences, and create a new model of sustainable quality tourism through the diversification of the country's tourism product portfolio and source markets. The Greek Tourist Marketing Plan 2022 sets the goal of the increase of the market share not only in short-haul but also in long-haul markets. The People's Republic of China is a key long-haul target market for Greek tourism. The country is represented in People's Republic of China by the GNTO Beijing office under the supervision, of course, of the Ministry of Tourism. The office mission, among others, is to promote the Greek tourism product, implement the annual action plan, and proceed to recommendations when needed for the Chinese market. Taking into consideration the latest trends in the Chinese market, the Greek Tourist Marketing Plan 2022 focuses on promoting products which adjust to the new conditions, e.g. luxury tourism, city breaks, cultural tourism, gastronomy, and match the interests, of course, of Chinese travelers. Due to travel restrictions still in force in People's Republic of China, and to stay in touch with the Chinese market, many actions undertaken by the Greek National Tourism Organization Beijing office in the previous years relied on the use of digital media and platforms. The action plan, as implemented by the GNTO Beijing office, included campaigns visible in Chinese social media, WeChat, Weibo, Bilibili, TikTok, etc., collaboration with ambassadors of Greek tourism, the Greek Twins, with more than 40 live streaming sessions in social media platforms, virtual B2B travel roadshow with the aim of bringing together Chinese and Greek professionals and provide a platform for further cooperation, where inter alia the opportunity of conducting B2B online meetings was given. September 2021-2022 Culture and Tourism Year between Greece and People's Republic of China. The Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, for co-organizing the 2021 Culture and Tourism Year between the Hellenic Republic and the Government of People's Republic of China was signed in November 2020. Within the framework of this MOU, the two countries seek to deepen their traditional friendly relations, confirm the strong ties between their people, as well as broaden their cooperation. According to the MOU, the two countries agreed on strengthening their cooperation on issues related to the exchange of tourism statistics, destination management and promotion, and quality services certification.
auto, daj. Dobro.
On cooperating in the organization of farm trips and press trips, with a special focus on cultural heritage and special tourism, to make increasingly known in the travel public emerging destinations and destinations combining a variety of thematic tourism experiences. The increase of visibility and capitalization on promotional activities, e.g. roadshows, festivals, masterclasses of gastronomy, related to the valorization of local products and their integration to the tourist experience. The joint action plan between the Greek Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Tourism and Culture of the People's Republic of China for the period 2022-2024 in the sector of tourism was signed in March 2022. The joint action plan focuses on tourism promotion through targeted initiatives, exchange of know-how and further development of special forms of tourism such as cultural, MICE, wedding honeymoon tourism, wellness and medical tourism, tourism education and training, tourism investments, information exchange on current and future planned investment tourism projects, and investment incentive programs in both countries, and finally, cooperation within the framework of international organizations and initiatives related to tourism, to which both countries are members, including the Belt and Road, the 14+1 initiative, and the 2021 China Agriculture and Tourism Year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olympia. Olympia, in her speech, just underlined how excellent performance Greece is having in Chinese tourism. And also she mentioned another project initiated by the Tourism Coordination Center. It is the Tourism Award Marco Polo. Greece won 2 titles this year, so I am happy to grab the opportunity to congratulate on the winners and also congratulate the Greek leaders and the team players who are working with us on the excellent tourism players who won the title this year. Thank you very much. And now let's turn to another very important country of the CEE-China cooperation. It is Serbia. From Serbia, we invited the CEO of the Serbian Tourism Organization, but let me first just share with you some words about Serbia. Serbia is the country in the Balkans who was visited by a very tiny amount of Chinese travelers a decade ago. But what they achieved in the past 10 years of the cooperation is just more than spectacular. The number of Chinese visitors and the Chinese nights spent in Serbia both increased by more than 10 times. This unbelievable result is due to the creativity, the consistent work, and last but not least, the high motivation of the staff of the Tourism Organization of Serbia. It is always a great pleasure to work with Serbia. And let me give the word to Ms. Marija Labovic, the CEO of the Serbian Tourism Organization, who is with us virtually today. Let's listen to her thought about the topic. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Marija Labovic and I'm CEO of National Tourism Organization of Serbia. It is my great pleasure to be present on this online conference regarding the trends of traveling of Chinese tourists and also of digital transformation and management in tourism regarding especially Chinese travelers. When Serbia is concerned, in the beginning I have to say that Chinese market is of great importance for Serbian tourism, especially before the 2019 and in 2019. To start with our first great efforts of bringing Chinese travelers to Serbia, I have to say that we started a long time ago, and from 2015 and 2016, and in 2017 we had the major breakthrough with abolishing visas for travelers coming from China. That was the first step toward opening the Chinese market in greater numbers. For us, that was the period when we started significant marketing activities on the Chinese market, and at that time we were conducting all different sorts of marketing activities, the traditional ones and the online ones. So from 2017 onwards, we were present in at least once per year on the major tourism fairs in China. We were organizing numerous study tours for media, for bloggers and influencers, and also for tourism trade from China in Serbia, but we also organized numerous events in China, in different cities, especially in Beijing and Shanghai, where we were presenting Serbia's tourism destination to tourism trade of China. Those were the traditional ways of presenting, but at the same time we recognized the importance of digital presence in the Chinese market, and regarding our activities we were doing like the whole marketing mix regarding the online activities in China. So just to mention a few of them, in the beginning we started with our profiles on WeChat and Weibo accounts, but also we're cooperating with different tourism platforms where we were presenting Serbia as tourism destination. Having in mind all the activities that we were doing, in 2019 we managed to have so many travelers coming from China that regarding the international travelers, Chinese tourists were second in number of tourists coming to Serbia and first in overnight stays among international travelers in Serbia. But then the pandemic stopped this positive trend, and we saw the moment that it is important to stay present in the Chinese market for the times of recovery. In that sense, we didn't stop with our marketing activities in China, but they are only regarding the digital activities that we do. This is also, let's say, at the same time with those new trends in marketing, since we know that most of the citizens of China are digitally literate and using digital platforms in their everyday life. So in that sense, we recognized all those new important materials that needed to be present on the digital platforms. In that sense, we organized more than 15 live stream events from Serbia, presenting Serbia through this video live materials showing what we have, and just through those live streams we managed to reach approximately 7 million users in China who were watching those live streams. We also conducted different online activities regarding the presentations of Serbia, webinars, but also cooperation with OTAs and making different presentations and educative programs related to OTAs. Also, we extended our cooperation with KOLs because they are of great importance in presenting every tourism destination. We also have campaigns in different platforms like Fliggy, like Mafenguo, like Ctrip, Tuniu, Tongcheng, also Queer, and many others. And we also organized online road shows and trainings with ITB, TCC, ETC, COTTM, also online training programs of Serbia on Dragon Trail platform with over 1,000 Chinese travel agents completing this training. Also, we had joint campaigns with the National Tourism Organization of Montenegro through ETC. Our campaign had achieved total impression of 136 million with total page views of over 18 million, and the total media value was almost half million euros. Also, I have to mention that we started with the media platforms such as Douyin, which is like Chinese TikTok. You most probably all know about it, because we saw that there is an increasing number of potential travelers among Generation Z, and they are very interested in this platform as well. But also, very important thing is that even the senior citizens of China are using even this platform, which is very different than senior users from Europe who are not so much into TikTok. But in China, TikTok has this type of platform has a greater value, and also all types of video materials have great value, and that's why we are having different activities related to sharing different types of videos regarding Serbia on those platforms. To conclude, Chinese market is still the priority market among international markets for Serbia. In that sense, we are expecting to have a significant number of Chinese travelers to come to Serbia in the future. And why we believe in that? Because from this year we have a direct flight from Belgrade to Beijing, operated by Hainan Airlines, and also towards the end of this year we expect our national carrier Air Serbia to start with direct flight from Belgrade to China, and that's why we believe that in the next period we can again expect a significant number of Chinese travelers coming to Serbia, and that's why we didn't stop with our digital activities in China. We will continue doing different types of digital activities in China as well, and as the time comes we will combine them with the traditional activities that we were conducting before the pandemic period. So I hope that our case study will give you some ideas of what are those activities regarding those new digital tools that are involved in presentations of destination, and that with our example we will help you to have those activities as well, and to have again big numbers of Chinese travelers who come to Europe. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. National Tourism Organization of Serbia will be always more than happy to help and to also be partner in future activities of Europe towards China. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Maria. I think it is simply excellent what Serbia is doing on the Chinese market. They are just grabbing all the opportunities available, as well as creating new opportunities for themselves. Maria mentioned a company named Dragon Trail, and I am happy to announce that our next speaker is the marketing and communication director of Dragon Trail. Dragon Trail International is a marketing solutions company with roots in China and global travel. They offer customized solutions for doing business with China. They have been a kind of steering compass for us since the travels between the two continents came to a halt because of COVID-19 pandemic. They offer digital solutions, they are researching the market and examining travel moods so that you always know what is going to happen and how to react to the changes. Ms. Sienna Paroulis-Cook, Director of Marketing and Communications, is our guest speaker today. Sienna, the virtual floor is yours. Okay, please follow her words.
Hello, I'm Sienna from Dragon Trail International. Thank you very much for joining today, and thank you to TCC for inviting me to speak about trends in Chinese tourism and digital marketing. Obviously, Chinese outbound tourism has been on hold these past couple of years because of COVID. But during that time, there have been significant developments in the way that Chinese consumers travel and in the way that tourism brands market to those Chinese consumers. And understanding those developments is very important to knowing what to expect from the Chinese market when it returns, as well as optimizing your own product development and marketing. Now, before we look at the trends, I'd like to briefly introduce Dragon Trail International to give some background about who we are and where the information from today's presentation comes from. Dragon Trail International is a marketing solutions company with more than 13 years of experience in the Chinese travel sector. We're headquartered in Beijing with 2 other offices in China and 1 in the UK. Our services include digital marketing for Chinese consumers and the Chinese travel trade, virtual and hybrid events, market research and strategy consulting, and market representation services. We are proud to work with leading tourism brands all around the world, including TCC and other destinations, attractions, airlines, hotels, and more. If you're interested to learn more about trends in Chinese tourism and digital marketing after this presentation, please head to our website, www.dragontrail.com, where you'll find a huge amount of free resources. Now, let's turn to Chinese travel trends. Over the past several years, the Chinese tourism market has seen a number of developments, and understanding these will be important for welcoming Chinese visitors back to Europe and knowing how their interests and their travel behavior may have changed over the past several years. Now, before COVID, Chinese tourism was already moving away from those traditional large group tours and more towards FIT and smaller, personalized and customized group travel. And this is a trend that has really been accelerated by the pandemic. Looking at several surveys of Chinese consumers conducted by Dragon Trail International, we have found that only around 5% of survey respondents say that their preferred way to travel is traditional large group tours now. All over the world, the pandemic has pushed people to spend more time outside and travel in nature, and this is also true in China, where we have seen a huge boom in camping and glamping, as well as self-driving travel, hiking, cycling, surfing, skiing, and many other outdoor activities. Next, consumers are now less likely to be contented with a generic sightseeing tour and more interested in exploring certain themes or their own interests more deeply when they travel. And this might include something like getting a private tour of a museum from a local historian or taking a cooking class. As a result of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics, there has been a huge increase in Chinese trying winter sports such as skiing and snowboarding. And actually, winter tourism is something that has developed a lot in China over the past 10 years or so in the lead up to the Olympics. And many countries around the world use the Olympics this year to successfully promote themselves as a future winter sports destination. So that gives you an idea about the biggest recent trends, but the question is, how much will these trends really change Chinese outbound tourism when it returns? Will your Chinese visitors of the future be totally different from those that you had in the past? Now, to answer that question, let's look at survey data collected by Dragon Trail last year. When we asked people about what they wanted to do on their next trip, we found that outdoor destinations were very popular, but survey respondents also wanted to visit places like theme parks and landmarks. So despite COVID, they really weren't avoiding these more crowded places when it came to domestic travel. Now, we also asked specifically about survey respondents' next international trip, and this gives us an idea of what we can expect in the future. Nature was a popular choice, with more than 40% of survey respondents saying that they wanted to visit forest and mountains or off the beaten track destinations. More than a third of our survey respondents also said they wanted to do outdoor activities, including camping and skiing. Now, even more popular was going to the beach and sea, with 65% of respondents choosing this option for their next outbound trip. But similar to domestic travel, visiting landmarks like iconic buildings and museums was also a top priority for international travel. And around 1/3 of respondents were interested in trying local food on their next outbound trip. So what we expect based on this research is, while that there are definitely new and expanded opportunities to market outdoor activities and destinations, that doesn't mean that Chinese travelers are going to totally change their behavior and avoid cities and restaurants in the future. Especially if they've traveled long distance, they're still going to want to visit the iconic sites. Now let's turn to tourism marketing for China. Although outbound tourism has been on hold for the last few years, destinations and other tourism brands have not paused their marketing during this time. The goal is to continue inspiring consumers to dream about and plan their future trips, and to keep the Chinese travel trade informed so that they can effectively sell outbound destinations and travel products when the time is right. Now let's take a look now at which strategies have been the most popular. WeChat is China's #1 mobile app and social media platform, and it's been key to B2C marketing for many years. Since 2017, Dragon Trail has been tracking national tourism boards, or NTOs, and regional tourism boards, or DMOs, weekly activities on WeChat. And in 2018, we added attractions such as museums, as well as hotels. So this allows us to clearly see how the pandemic has impacted consumption of this kind of content on WeChat over the past couple of years. And as you can see from the graph on the left, the average reading rates for articles published by NTOs, DMOs, attractions, and hotels since 2019 has basically stayed stable or even grown for some categories. This is really positive because it shows us that Chinese consumers are still regularly engaging with this content, and they're still interested in destinations and attractions overseas. Now here you can see a couple of examples of particularly popular tourism-related WeChat content from this year. There's a post from during the Beijing Olympics by Visit Norway, promoting the country as a winter sports destination, and another post by the Polish Tourism Board in March, where they cooperated with a Chinese influencer to promote solo women's travel on International Women's Day. Now, WeChat is one way that tourism brands have been doing marketing in China for many years, but the pandemic has also led to new ways of engaging consumers and the travel trade. And these adjustments happened very quickly. In September 2020, Dragon Trail surveyed 65 travel companies whose primary area of business before COVID was outbound tourism. And we focused especially on how the pandemic had already changed marketing in the tourism industry. What we found is that almost a third of respondents had started to use short video content and live streaming as new marketing strategies since the start of the pandemic. Now, if we needed to name the most popular trend in destination marketing since the pandemic, it would definitely be live streaming. Live streaming was already something that was very popular in China before the pandemic for e-commerce and entertainment, but it wasn't used for tourism marketing. Now, live streaming, it's still huge for e-commerce, and viewership numbers have actually grown significantly since the start of the pandemic. It's estimated that there will be $480 billion in retail sales from live streaming in 2022. But another result of the pandemic on live streaming is that it suddenly became something that was used for tourism marketing. With viewers stuck at home and tour guides with no clients, we very quickly saw the development of so-called cloud tourism, where Chinese people could stay at home and consume live streaming and other online content to travel virtually. Travel website Mafenghua launched a live streaming platform already in March 2020, and tourism businesses such as airlines and OTAs started e-commerce style live streaming around the same time. Since then, live streaming for tourism has continued to be popular, and it's become a new way for overseas destinations to do tourism marketing in China too. So here you can see just a few examples of European destinations live streaming on various Chinese platforms between 2020 and this year. COVID has obviously changed B2B tourism marketing as well, and I'd like to share a few examples of that. Thankfully, we now have the technology that has allowed overseas tourism brands to stay connected to the Chinese travel trade in many different ways. One way of engaging the Chinese travel trade during this time and empowering travel agents to make future sales is through self-study courses available on mobile through WeChat mini programs, which is the way that Chinese travel agents prefer to study. An example of that is the Spain Tourism Board's online course, which Dragon Trail adapted to a WeChat mini program earlier this year. Virtual events are another good way of updating and continuing relationships with the travel trade. Prior to the pandemic, Dragon Trail had already developed a platform for virtual trade events, which works both via web browser, via desktop or mobile, as well as on mobile through a WeChat mini program. Since 2020, we have run more than 30 virtual exhibitions, roadshows, and other events using that platform. One example here from 2021 is the European Tourism Commission's virtual travel trade show, which included a conference, an exhibition, and one-on-one video meetings. Apart from a self-study course, another way of training the travel trade is through webinars. And you may have participated in TCC's series of 8 destination webinars earlier this year, which were each followed by one-on-one meeting sessions. One last example of travel trade engagement is virtual fam trips, which are a really exciting new development that have great potential for long after international travel restrictions from China are dropped. As these virtual fam trips allow destinations to give large numbers of Chinese travel agents a real feeling for what it's like to visit a place, but without having to organize hundreds of travel arrangements. This spring, Dragon Trail worked with South African Tourism to create a 2-day virtual fam trip to South Africa. We worked with local Chinese-speaking guides, and we were able to take around 150 Chinese travel agents across South Africa virtually, visiting major cities, diverse attractions, and hotel properties. Now, I hope that these examples and data have given you new ideas and inspiration for future Chinese tourism marketing. To find out more, visit Dragon Trail's website or social media channels for articles, reports, webinar recordings, details about future events, and more. Thank you.
Thank you, Sienna. It was really amazing, and I would like to encourage you to refer to Sienna or Dragon Trail International whenever you need advice, research, or data. Dear participants, our following speaker is Mr. Sun Yulong, Associate Professor of Fudan University, who was kind to be the member of the Evaluation Committee. He is the author of numerous research with special focus in tourism and leisure. Let me thank Mr. Yulong once again for his huge work in the committee, and I ask him to hold his lecture. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yunlong Sun from Tourism Department of Fudan University. It's my great pleasure and honor to get the invitation of China, Central and Eastern European Countries Coordination Center and Eurasia Center to attend this conference. Thank you very much. So this is my speech. In recent years, the sharing of travel notes on social media has played an important role in the travel decision of Chinese tourists. In order to understand the perceptions of Chinese tourists on the tourism image of Central and Eastern European countries, my research team made a small test. Through the network text analysis method, using the Chinese text mining toolkit ROST to capture and analyze the travel notes of Central and Eastern European countries on the largest Chinese OTA website, Ctrip. Next step, we extract high-frequency vocabularies and then classifies and analyzes according to high-frequency vocabularies. The narrative content of travel notes is based on the reader's cognition and the personal experience. The frequency and proportion of different types of keywords can reflect the familiarity and focus on the destination. Coping down, we found that the most concerned countries in the minds of Chinese tourists are Greece and Hungary. There are more introductions about the facilities, services, and tourist attractions about the two countries. Among them, Chinese tourists pay the highest attention to Greece tourism facilities and services, focusing on transportation, food, and convenience. Trams, subway, and coffee are among the high word frequencies for Hungary. Abstract adjectives continue to grasp and evaluate the spirit of objective reality. Therefore, the higher the proportion of abstraction can reflect the richness of a country's tourism attraction and the satisfaction of tourists' experience. Among the 17 countries, Greece has the highest proportion of abstraction, with 19% being described as beautiful, sunshine, civilization, paradise, and godliness. In terms of abstract adjectives, the proportion of history and civilization is the highest. For tourists, the exotic history, culture, and artist styles of Central and Eastern European countries are unique. Hungary, Czech Republic, and Serbia use the most positive emotional words in their travel notes, and in the negative emotional expressions, tourists are dissatisfied with the traffic congestion, service inconvenience, health condition, food, and security factors in some countries. The negative perception of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, and Latvia comes from the grief of recalling their history of war. Based on the above brief text analysis, we believe that Chinese tourists generally have a very positive perception of the destination image of Central and Eastern European countries, but also have more negative comments on the current visa process, tourism transportation, and public safety. In this regard, we propose the following development proposals. First, deepen the 17+1 organization cooperation. China has strengthened more comprehensive and multi-level cooperation with Central and Eastern Europe to provide a more comfortable and convenient tourism environment for their nationals, such as simplifying visa procedure and implementing a visa-free policy. Drawing lessons from the European Union, Central and Eastern European countries cooperate closely to solve the difficulties of Chinese tourists' entry and exit, and improve Chinese tourists' satisfaction and tourism experience. Secondly, increase publicity efforts, especially in countries with low attention, should pay more attention to the use of new media and other platforms to display and sell their products by visual marketing means, such as short videos and variety publicities, and dig deep to create better tourism productions, so as to increase tourists' familiarity with the destination, shape a central image, enhance tourists' perception before travel, so as to stimulate potential tourism's travel emotion and behavior. Thirdly, improve infrastructure services to provide more comfortable external tourism environment for Chinese tourists. We can also consider further optimization from the perspective of avoiding and reducing tourism-related risks, such as rectifying public security and improving health level. Central and Eastern European countries continue to follow up the holding of cultural festivals and expositions so that the Chinese people can better understand the social development, religious culture, residents' common life, and other conditions in Central and Eastern Europe. Enhance friendly exchanges between residents of both sides and form positive psychological hints. Fourth, design high quality tourist routes. The unique national scenery and the cultural customs of Central and Eastern Europe are very important tourist attractions to Chinese tourists. Through the rational integration and the utilization of the resources among this travel line, we will get better tourist routes that attract Chinese tourists and even accommodate large-scale Chinese tourist group. So this is some conclusion of our small test. It's only a beginning of this research. We hope we can get more information from this internet data, and we will talk it later. So that's all. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Professor. I do think that the overall impression of Chinese tourists about the CEE is positive. That's what the figures of the past 9 years show to us. But thank you for your advice. We will take your advice, and we are striving to get even better and even more satisfactory destination for Chinese visitors. Okay, so dear conference participants, time approaches to announce the best 4 awardees and the owner of the special prize of the research project, Changing Chinese Travel Trends, Digital Transformation and Management. initiated by the China CEE's Tourism Coordination Center and supported by Eurasia Center Hungary. Before the announcement about the winners, let me explain very shortly how the evaluation process went. We received dozens of abstracts for our call of papers. The 10-member evaluation committee read and ranked the abstracts, and based on the order, they selected the best 15 applicants who were invited to write a research study. After we received the studies, the evaluation committee evaluated the papers on the basis of the established point system. And here are the main elements of the point system. 1. The author's knowledge and skills correspond to the level expected by the field of science. 2. The study fits into the topic of the study volume. 3. New or original study. 4. The title is correct. 5. The abstract fits well with the study. 6. The logical and technical structure of the study are correct. 7. The methodology is appropriate and correctly applied. 8. The interpretations and conclusions are also correct. 9. Well-edited and displayed study. And 10, the language is clear and understandable. And now let me announce the winners. Ladies and gents, dear participants, on behalf of the China CEE's Tourism Coordination Center, I am glad to announce the winner team of the best research, Ms. Lorena Bassan, full professor of the University of Rijeka, Mr. Bartol Donadic, MSc student of the Faculty of Tourism and Hospitality of the Rijeka University, and Mr. Ivan Butkovic, assistant of the University of Rijeka. As you see, it is a team of researchers. Their paper holds the title Adapting Destination Marketing Activities to Changed Chinese Travel Trends. Congratulations on the first prize, which comes together with €1,000. So please applaud them. Okay. I go along with listing the second, third, fourth prizes and also the special prize. The winner of the second prize and the glad owner of €750 is Miss Rita Song-Agoc from Hungary. Rita is a PhD student of the University Corvinus Budapest. In her paper, she examined the security provided by kinship among Chinese travelers. Congratulations. The third prize winner and the owner of €750 go to Miss Olga Novoselova, a PhD student at the Corvinus University of Budapest, Hungary. In her present research, Miss Olga Novoselova examined the level of consequences produced by the fake news towards China as a travel destination. The fourth prize, and again, €750, go to Miss Chen Rurong, a student from China, currently studying at the Budapest Business School. Her research topic is the contribution of tourism to China's new development trajectory. Again, big applaud to the winners. And finally, it is my great pleasure to announce that we have given a special prize of €100 to Miss, and the title of the special prize, to Miss Reka Sabina Török, PhD student at the Faculty of Economics of the University of Szeged. Her thesis concentrates on how experimental marketing can help to strengthen the reputation of a Hungarian city. Congratulations on the winners. And dear ladies, dear gents, dear participants, before we are holding a very small technical break, we'll have the pleasure to listen to the presentation of the first prize winners, okay? And after the break, which is going to be just a 5-minute technical break, the winners of the second, third, and fourth prizes, as well as our special prize winner, are going to have the chance to share their findings with the audience. Now, dear winner team, the floor before the break is yours. We are listening to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to say in my behalf and behalf of my colleague that we are honored to receive this award in this conference. And as well, I would like to thank you to all evaluator, reviewer, and organizer as well to give us a chance to participate in this conference and to pronounce us as a winner as well. Thank you once more. So first of all, I send the greetings from Opatia to all participants, and in a short, just a few words. I'm a full professor here at the Faculty of Tourism and Hospitality Management in Opatia, University of Rijeka in Croatia. And two authors with me on this paper are Bartol Donagic. He was a master degree student here at the faculty, and my assistant Ivan Butkovic. Can we go in advance, please? In a few words, we heard even before that we know all very good how the SARS and the COVID influence on the tourism globally, on decrease in revenue, in arrivals, in overnight stays globally, and as well here in Croatia. And in that sense, the reason why we choose the TPB, or the theory of planned behavior, in this research is the reason that through this we can better explain, let's say, and predict the Chinese tourist decision-making process in this post-pandemic period. Can we go on, please? Just a few words related to the potential of the Chinese tourism market and main characteristic, as we heard even from previous presentation, that the potential of the Chinese tourism market is big opportunity for globally tourism market, but as well here for Croatia. We don't have so greater growth as maybe Serbia from Chinese market, but we have to say that in this period between 2013 and 2019, actually we have a growth of more than 400%. The main characteristic related to the Chinese tourist behavior, when we speak about the marketing strategy formulation, first of all, we have to taking into consideration this cultural aspect and the specificity which are related to the Chinese tourism market. In addition, they usually travel in pre and post season, then avoid, let's say, this hot period during year and summer. Mostly these are females, and usually they travel through traditional traditional package tour. Can we go on, please? We all as well very well known how actually these and which are duties of DMO. And in researches, let's say that most and greater focus is usually put it on DMO activity. Usually what is missing the putting, let's say, the aspect of the tourist and the DMO together, just to see if actually the evaluation of the, I don't know, service quality of importance for each attributes matching. So that was the motive why we put here and define our first hypothesis. There are significant differences in destination attributes importance between DMOs and Chinese tourists. Please, can we go on? Just a few words related to the theory of planned behavior and the importance of use and the benefits of using this TPB concept. let's say that by using this TPB, we can better predict, let's say, the individual intention to perform a particular behavior, and it is a concept which is widely used in a field of tourism and in a field of marketing. Please, can we go on? The TPB model is actually determinants, or it's composed of three different determinants: attitudes toward behavior, subjective norms, and perceived behavior control. But we used in our research the findings which are from Han and the group of authors, which actually find in their research and results indicate on positive and significant influence on behavioral intentions for safer destination among US international travelers, which is related to each of these three determinants of TPB model. Can we go on, please? And based on this, actually, in accordance to the main objective of our paper, we defined the following three hypotheses related to three determinants of the TPB concept: that attitudes toward behavior, subjective norms, and perceived behavior control will positively and significantly influence on Chinese tourist intention to choose a safer destination. Please, can go on. A few words related to the methodology. We conducted the primary research in which we used the structured questionnaires. Actually, we conducted two separated but interrelated surveys. One survey was on Chinese tourists, and the second one on county tourist boards here in Croatia. The purpose of both surveys was to identify priority attributes for destination. In one segment related to the DMO aspect, and on the other side on Chinese tourists. In this part of the questionnaire, we had the 8 dimensions and 44 different attributes. Attributes and dimension and attributes we defined based on the previous research, and by adapting some attributes in accordance to the specificity of the Chinese tourism market. Evaluation on attributes importance for that part, we use the 5-point Likert scale. Please, can go on. Second part of the questionnaire for Chinese tourists, actually we put additionally 2 groups of questions. One is related to the TPB model, and in that part, actually, we evaluated through 3 items attitudes, 2 items subjective norms, 3 items for perceived behavior control, and 3 items for behavioral intention for safer destination. Additionally, second group here, we defined 7 items to evaluate source of information for Chinese tourists when choosing destination. In that part also, we use the 5-point Likert scale. Questionnaires we created in Google Forms. We conducted this as an online survey. And related to the Croatian tourist boards, we collected 15 county tourist board collected and field questionnaires. And related to the Chinese tourists, actually we used convenience sample of Chinese tourists who visited Croatia at least once. In that segment, we actually collected 141 questionnaires. Can we go on, please? Related to the socio-demographic characteristic of respondents included in that research, we can say that most of them are females. They in 94% of respondents live in China. They have the higher education level, and related to the monthly income, let's say the greater part of the respondents have between 670 and 1,070 euros per month. Can we go on, please? In first part of research result, I will present you actually the destination attributes evaluation, in which we use the independent sample test. First of all, we calculated the Cronbach alpha for all eight dimensions, and as you can see from the table, actually that the Cronbach alpha value is for importance from the Chinese tourist actually is greater than 0.7 as a minimum amount. And for the Cronbach alpha for importance related to the Croatian tourist boards, actually only shopping had a value below the 0.7 and for that reason we calculated additionally intercorrelation coefficient, which was greater than 0.3, and that was the reason why we chose to retain this factor, for the reason not to lose additionally useful information. Please, can we go on? In advance, you can see from the table actually the calculation of the significance of the differences between valuation of the importance between the Chinese tourists and the Croatian tourist boards. For accommodation services, you can see that there is no significant differences. Actually, when we can say that significant differences exist, if the seek-to tail is below 0.05 value. For accommodation services, we don't have significant differences. For restaurant services, as you can see, for menus translated into Chinese, the value is below 0.05. And this attribute is or has a greater value for Chinese tourists in comparison to the Croatian tourist boards. Please, can we go on? For a safety, there is no significant differences. For natural attractions, the significant difference exists in attribute related to the protected areas, for which actually the Croatian destination tourist boards evaluate this attribute with greater importance in comparison to the Chinese tourists. For cultural beauty, there is no significant differences. Please, can we go on? For sport, there is significant differences, and this attribute is evaluated by DMO with greater value in comparison to the Chinese tourists. For shopping, there is significant differences for souvenirs and gifts and local special products. Both of these attributes are evaluated with greater value from the aspect of DMO. And last dimension information, there is a significant differences related to the willingness to provide information to Chinese tourists in the tourist destination, which has the greater importance for Chinese tourists in comparison to the DMO. Can we go on, please? Based on this, we can say that actually we confirmed our first hypothesis, as you can see from the calculation of significance, that there exist the differences in destination attributes importance. But as a result, as a whole, we can see actually that in Croatia, there is a good balance between this importance of the attributes, but the improvement has to be done in that or related to the attributes in which the significant differences were detected. Additionally, when we speak about the formulation of the marketing strategy for Chinese market, then it's important to point it out or to put focus on the main attributes which Chinese tourists evaluate with a greater importance for them, like safety in hotels, destination, availability of showers in rooms, and others which we put here. Can we go on, please? In advance, actually, we implement the regression analysis in TPB context. First of all, we calculate the Cronbach alpha, and from the value of the Cronbach alpha, you can see that actually all determinants are above the 0.7, what indicate actually that we use the reliable instruments. And from the results of the multiple regression analysis for TPB predictors, you can see that actually from this last column 6, you can see that the value of the p-value is actually below the 0.05 for attitudes and subjective norm, what indicate that actually these two determinants significantly and positively influence on Chinese tourist intention to choose a safer destination. And with that, actually, we confirm hypothesis 2 and 3. And for the last perceived behavior control as a third factor, actually, we can say that this there is no significant influence on the Chinese tourist intention to choose a safer destination. And based on this, actually, is not confirmed the fourth hypothesis. In advance, please. And the last segment of the research results are related to the source of information which Chinese tourists use when they choose the destination. And in accordance to some previous information as well, we can say that actually the greater coefficient, Pearson coefficient correlation we have for websites. It is 0.006 in significance at the level of the 99% as well. And additionally to this source, actually we have the correlation for the internet travel pages, for the social media, for the brochures and the posters, and the radio, television, videos as well as a source of information. We can say that actually these results confirm some information which we heard from different speakers even before. Can we go on? Okay, that's from my part. And the last part as conclusion, please, Bartol, in Chinese, some conclusion words.
Yes, I will do the conclusion in Chinese, but all the English speakers can follow in English. 那我们所有这些中东欧的国家有一个非常大的责任，就是和中国建桥梁。那其中一个方式就是旅游业。首先，我们所有的国家的领导需要理解旅游的趋势和国旅游市场的潜力。按照我们国家的旅游管理组织， 最重要的旅游市场就是德国、奥地利、意大利、斯洛维尼亚、匈牙利、捷克，都是欧洲的国家。那我们应该知道，就是欧洲的游客的旅游意图和中国的完全不同。那国家领导需要承认，旅游业的未来就属于中国。 那么论文的实质就是疫情后，中国游客有没有改变自己的想法，有没有改变自己的思想、行为意图？那我们论文里通过计划行为理论，我们能更深刻的理解：一，中国游客对更安全目的地的行为意向；二， 主观标准层；3，行为态度。那我希望我们所研究的结果能帮助国家的领导，尤其是国家的旅游管理组织，为了制定对国市场的营销战略。谢谢大家的关注。So thank you everybody for listening this conclusion and participating in this presentation.
Thanks a lot, dear winner team. I think that it was excellent that you have shared the precious findings of your study with us, and we are very excited to see the study together with all the studies in the volume just behind me. Okay. So in case there are no questions and no objection, we are happy to announce a 5 minutes, not more than 5-minute technical break. In the hope that those few who are still missing are coming back and are being with us soon. I just want to announce once again the owner of the second prize, the winner of the second prize, Miss Rita Song-Agocs from the university, from the Corvinus University, Budapest. Rita, please, before you start your presentation about your study, introduce yourself in some words as it was agreed before.
I'm very happy about this second rank, so thank you very much for the opportunity, and also the organizations and the reviewers, the evaluation committee members, and also my two supervisors at the Corvinus University, Mrs. Anna Iramiás and Gábor Mihalko. So once again, I'm Rita Song-Agocs. So I'm a second year PhD student at the Corvinus University of Budapest, Business and Management doctoral school, tourism specialization. I'm entrepreneur specializing in Chinese inbound tourism in Hungary since 2006. So this is my practical and professional experience over the years prompted to me to complete my master's degree, and after the PhD as well. So the most important fields of my research are grouped around Chinese tourism, in which I'm currently conducting research on several topics such as VFR, tourism, visiting friends and relatives, and also tourism safety and security. I'm from Hungary, so my mother tongue is Hungarian, but I can speak English and Chinese as well. So here is the agenda, some bit introduction, speak about the methodology, the results, and the implications. So the research aims was twofold. First, to explore the role of the sense of security provided by Guanxi network of contacts during travel, and the other is to identify their key tourist safety factors. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, China transformed into the most important outbound global tourism market. So China was the main players in international migration as well. So every country in the world has hosts a smaller or larger Chinese diaspora. And it's important in Hungary because in the Central and Eastern Europe, Hungary hosts the largest Chinese diaspora with almost 20,000 registered individuals. So in the case of Hungary, Chinese immigrants arrived in two major waves. The first one was from 1988 to 1992. That period was a vis-a-vis war between the two countries, with Hungary and China. And the other waves was from 2013 to 2017. That was a settlement bond period from the government. So when visiting a destination, the most basic need for travelers is to guarantee the physical security. So that's the sense of security. So it's necessary to be able to create this feeling in the traveler, even in the period before the trip. So the personal network of contacts, the Guanxi, plays the greatest role in this case. The methodology was, the number was 144. I made it in 2022 in August this year. It was a Chinese language structured online survey. shared with Chinese WeChat and Messenger program as well. So it was a snowball technique. So I asked my friends and family connections, because I'm very involved in the Chinese diaspora as well in Hungary. So this snowball technique was, I asked them to field and after share with their friends and relatives as well in Hungary. So the scales in this research, I use one multi-item scales with 5-point scale to assess their experience, safety and security at level. The other one was the binary choice, yes or no items, where I want to discover the participants' opinions about Hungary as a holiday destination. And testing with the PCA, the principal component analysis. So the profile of respondents, 144 was the sampling number. So the descriptive analysis shows the balance ratio between male and female respondents, and most participants, almost 90,000, 90% resided in Budapest. So the Chinese in Hungary usually concentrated at the capital of Hungary. The majority groups of the respondents were between 40 to 90, 40 to 59 years, almost 50%, and the other biggest was from the 25 to 39 years. The results, so also structured. The first, I want to see the Chinese social relations in the safety and security travel. So I used from the previous literature, and we can see the distribution of respondents of social relations. So the expressive relationship usually refers to the relation between the individuals and the family, while the mixed relationship usually refers to the relationship between the individuals and relatives and friends, while the instrumental relationship refers to the relationship between the individual and the strangers. So the results reveal that most of the respondents use their guanxi, expressive or mixed guanxi, before or during the travel, but only a very narrow group uses relationship other than family or friends. So it's very important, and also confirms that Chinese travelers mostly rely on the advice and opinions of the relatives and friends regarding the tourism. The other structured findings to identify the safety and security key factors during the travel. So the self-developed 18 items based on the tenets of safety and security tourism literature to assess Chinese hosts, the travel safety and security role. We use factor analyzed with principal component analysis with Varimax rotation for factor extraction, and 6 items with cross loadings and low cumulative or dropped. And the KMO measure of sampling competence value was 0.875. So this indicating the data was suitable for PCA. The Chinese host travel safety and security role, using their opinion to visit local attraction in Hungary was the most relevant factor, with 4.17 mean in the 5-point scale. So Chinese hosts usually give the VFR travelers many opinions and advice and guide them by showing the country's main attractions. In contrast, providing VFR travelers rental information, for example, the rent bus in the destination, was rated as the less relevant factor. It was 2.53 mean. So also to identify the safety and security key factors during the travel, used Dolnikar and Grün's instrument. We can see Hungary is a very safe, friendly, cultural, natural. So almost over every items was more than 80%, or almost more 90%, which is very, very high. And we can say the Chinese travelers really like Hungary in this case, and they don't think about it's expensive or crowded. So crowded out of China, it's The implication was separate theoretical and practical. The theoretical implication concentrate to the Guanxi perspective, which is in a new approach in the tourism area. And I think this Guanxi Foundation impact tourism and tourism security and safety provided by the network called Guanxi Connections. So it's really interesting to know how they connect and feel safety in this net, you can say. And important, they actively use this Guanxi before or during the travel. The three identified factors was the local safety factors, the local safety activities, and the local safety rental can provide also very important new knowledge to the DMOs in Hungary to understand the attitudes of the Chinese living in Hungary. And also we know that the Chinese travelers can assess through their relatives. So the Chinese citizens who are living in Hungary, it's very important to reach them and in the future. The managerial implication, we can say Hungary is a very safe and exciting destination, friendly, rich, diverse, and also with a very nice natural and favorable climate, which is the most important to the Chinese travelers. And in the future, should be greater attention to mining data on Chinese safety and security travel patterns more deeply, also the shopping preferences and the hospitality activities. And we should create platforms on WeChat or Weibo to the strategic marketing campaign to the Chinese hosts. We can motivating the Chinese immigrants to actively participate as a VFR hosts in Hungary. And also educational campaign to the local tourism supply sectors, such as attractions, tour operators, restaurants, etc. We can focus to this segment is very potential consumer. So in the future research plan, I want to also continue this Guanxi-based approach. Not just the Chinese safety and security travel, but I think also in the several other Chinese tourism aspect. So I hope not just me, maybe some researcher will join us and can research together. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Rita. We did enjoy it a lot, and I think that your research is going to be a very valuable asset, kind of toolkit for Hungarian Tourism Agency when they are planning their future activities for Chinese travelers. Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations once again. And now let's move on to re-announcing the winner, the third prize winner of our research project, Miss Olga Novoselova, a PhD student at the Corvinus University of Hungary, Budapest, who studies at the Business and Management Doctoral School.
Hello, I'm really pleased to be awarded the third place for my research. I'm just in the process of sharing my screen. So previously I had an 18 years of PR experience, international PR experience in educational sphere. And I used to teach in such areas as PR, soft power, country branding, and focus in these areas. But then I made a decision to continue develop my scientific career and switch to science. And nowadays I am fourth year PhD student in the Corvinus University of Budapest. And while choosing the topic, I became really interested in fake news, and I suppose that this is obvious disaster of our future, which would present in almost every sphere. But this sphere is really undeveloped, unresearched, and that's why I concentrated to identify the consequences which are produced by fake news towards a country brand or tourism and destinations in China, especially because the decrease in China image was evaluated by different research organizations, which happened during a COVID period. And since during COVID period, it was a really strong time of fake news circulation online. We suppose that fake news had a great impact on China. And it is totally connected with the tourism of China, since the perception of the country has a close connection with tourism. Therefore, looking on scientific research devoted to fake news, a lot of studies have already proved the idea that falsehoods diffused much faster than the truth, and the perception of fake news are more efficient based on emotional persuasiveness of fake news in comparison with truth, and it leads to trigger more emotional consumer responses. As well as some researchers identified that no matter that credibility of the source is really important for the reader, but however, if the reader faces with the news, which is not supposed to be on a reliable sources, faced with the news at least 2 or more times, they perceive this news as to be as truthful. As well as fake news on the social media exacerbates also not only due to bots, bots and especially produced fake news, but also in the future it will even increase because now are being created a lot of machines to write articles, and a lot of information obviously would be misfooled, and a lot of misunderstanding would appear. And Of course, mass media nowadays acts as a key player in formulation, disseminating the image of any country. Therefore, if we look at the statistic, we concentrated on inbound tourism to China. If we look at the statistics starting from 2014, we can see that during a COVID period, there is a sharp decline in travel. And of course, we can explain it that all other countries actually faced the same decline. But paying attention to the research, which was done by Peer Research Center, according to favorable views of various countries, and they used to do it during 10 years. The survey of 2020 identified the peak of negativism towards China after COVID situation. And if we look at the statistic, we can see that the very unfavorable or somewhat unfavorable dimensions are prevailing, and it depends on the age. So, for example, according to the country, the age of respondents perceiving China as a negative country, bearing a negative image, in Italy consists of 55% for the group of age. For the group of people aged under 30, and this percent is growing for the age of 30. And the same statistic we can see according to, for example, Belgium or Denmark. The percentage is really high, and it deviates or it is fluctuates according to the age. However, if we look at the statistic devoted to educational travel to China from 2015 to 2021, there was no any decrease, which happened to be with the mass tourism in the years of COVID. So still from 2019 till 2021, we see the constant increase of students coming to China. Therefore, it became absolutely interesting for us to check how to check the impact, the exposure of fake news on two types of tourism. So the main features of our research are that we had the purpose to investigate the volume of fake news affecting mass tourism and one of the form of this tourism, and as well to see how sustainable they are towards fake news exposure. Educational tourism was chosen due to the reason that it enables students to experience society directly and further can be the ambassadors disseminating their attitudes towards this country. As well, to check not only the circulation of all possible news, but exactly to evaluate the strengths, or like the damage towards Chinese tourism. We identified only negative fake news exacerbating in social media, and at the same time we tried to evaluate the impact of proximity towards China. Therefore, making our research, carrying out the survey at least in 2 countries. The main goal and the research question which was going to be investigated was to identify the existence of a hierarchy of effect between fake news and tourism, and to determine the sustainability of mass tourism and educational tourism. So as an object, we identified negatively framed fake news, and their impact on mass tourism and education tourism. And for evaluating any changes, we chose in the literature the scales which were provided to country brand equity and with its dimensions. It is awareness, association, quality, and loyalty, and how these dimensions would change. It is very important to highlight the definition which was chosen for our research, because nowadays this area is only under investigations, and the real definition is a bit blurred, because there are a lot of types, and some of them are linked to misinformation or disinformation or hoaxes. However, we concentrated on fake news, no matter what kind of false stories it is, but which are exacerbating in the internet. But bearing the main order is bearing the main purpose to mislead and cheat the readers for a certain financial, political, or other purpose. According to approach which was chosen for creating our methodology, we applied projected image and perceived image, because any country image can be divided exactly to these two types of images. So projected images, it is those ideas and impressions which people bear in their mind or according to a destination, and available for their consideration. However, perceived image, it is a form of information which is taken through indirect sources or any sources of information, and in this case, as a conclusion or as a consequence, is the building a certain impressions. Therefore, our ideas was to evaluate, first of all, the existed projected image, then provided 19 negatively connotative fake news, and then evaluate the perceived image which appeared after reading this news. So we chose the quantitative method of this research, where 290 Russian students and 132 Hungarian students took part. The survey was separated into four parts. First, the respondents provided some information about themselves and a cognitive and affective image which they have towards China. Then we evaluated the projected image which they apply, applying existing scales according to dimensions such as country awareness, association, quality, and loyalty, and adopted them to mass tourism and educational tourism. So after that, we provided fake news messages which were selected in a fake website database, so Snoops, where news have already been checked and identified as fake, bearing negative connotation. And after reading this fake news, we again evaluated already the perceived image, applying the same scales which we applied before reading this fake news. It is important to highlight that approximately 2 or 3% of students, Russian and Hungarian, visited China. The most part of students have never visited the China. And the results we followed with independent t-test analysis to identify the differences in perception of China between Hungarian or Russian respondents. And you can see that most of this according to each dimension. And you can see that almost all of these dimensions are significantly different. And if we look at the mean, which in case of Hungary is lower, shows us that Hungarian respondents, students have much more negative much more negative in perception of China and Chinese tourism. To evaluate how strong there was the changes in perception after reading fake news, we carried out a paired sample t-test. And here I provided, since there are a lot of scales to measure mass tourism and educational tourism, I provided some extracts only, because all other data shows a significant differences, which was a decrease in the perception, which probably can be obvious. However, we can see absolutely surprising phenomenon, because in some scales you can see, according to the mean, which is identified yellow, we see the increase of mean after the reading fake news. It is in the sphere, like I can quickly recall a symbol of logo of any university in China, which grew from 1.9 to almost 2. As well as China would be preferred choice for a vacation, and I would advise other people to visit China. It's very interesting, because after reading absolutely negative fake news, a lot of students became actually interested in China. And if we have a look at the Hungarian, at the results of paired sample t-test of Hungarian students, we also can see the same trend, although most scales show a decrease, but there are still some scales which depict the increase in the perception after reading this fake news, and it is concerning to awareness when I'm thinking of international education. So it is awareness of educational tourism, or the University of China are very famous. As well as you can see the increase in perceived association, which are also connected with the university. So it means that fake news actually became like a trigger when students who haven't thought about opportunity or like area of educational tourism of China started to think about it after reading negative fake news. However, if we join all this data of Russian and Hungarian respondents and to look at the total statistics, we can see that again, almost all scales have a constant decrease, especially it is seen in perceived quality, where totally all scales are decreased and significantly decreased, but still we can see some areas connected with the University of China very famous and connected with educational tourism, and can quickly recall the symbol of Loka, also connected with educational tourism, and that China would be preferred choice for the vacation. So how these results can be applied for further managerial area. First of all, it is very important to pay attention to the fact that almost all scales for perceived quality decreased, significantly decreased, and therefore negative exposure of fake news just in almost all scales of perceived quality urged to develop measures which would highlight the personal safety in China, and it would be one of the effort to make this area much resistible to fake news exposure. Also, according to results, since the increase in some scales are connected with educational tourism, the idea that the strength of a form of mass tourism could be resistible the idea that one form of the tourism could be much more resistible to fake news rather than a mass tourism was proved. So therefore, the events focused on one form of tourism would be preferred, which would be able to reduce financial expenditure and at the same time narrow down target audience and increase the outcome, or exactly inbound tourism, a certain form. And at the same time, the intensity of the program should depend on the country, since since we could see some differences of the results between two countries. The one which was Russia, much closer to China, and Hungary, which was a bit further. Yeah, and for our further step in the research, we should identify why finally these changes happen, and identify the real emotional perception of the tourists towards China after reading fake news. And for this purpose, we are going to carry out the research in narrow laboratories and tracking more countries into the participation, and for the purpose to clarify the integration of persuasive content with emotional engagement and its effect on tourists' further behavior towards China. And the main reason why it is actually important to do is to provide an additional background for academics and managerials to develop a certain anti-crisis plan after an attack, intensive attack of fake news, and supporting it for increasing the image and outcome of tourism. So we are right now in a step of searching the financial support for our research. So that's all. This is in brief the main idea of my research.
Thanks a lot, Olga. So we saw that the consequences of the fake news are very bad, but the lesson that Olga taught us is very thought-provoking, and we are looking for the new phase of the research, and we hope that you will get the necessary financial aid. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again. And now, dear participants, never minding that you are, or you may be tired, we are introducing the fourth prize winner, Miss Chen Rurong, a student from China, currently studying at the Budapest Business School. Her research topic, as I mentioned earlier, was the contribution of tourism to China's new development trajectory. Miss Rurong is here with us, I hope, and I also hope that she is ready to introduce her research topic. Okay, are you with us? Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Welcome, and the floor is yours. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the TCC Center give me such a good opportunity to share my thoughts. And my research is related to the economic of China, and recently China is facing the economic transformation. So my research topic is related to this. And I come from the Doctor School of Entrepreneurship and Business at the Budapest Business School. My supervisor is Professor Dr. Miklos Lawsons. And today my topic is the contribution of tourism to China's new development trajectory. And first, I will give you from the four parts to give my own thoughts. The first one is introduction. Second one is the methodology. I will introduce from the diamond model analysis and Cobo-Douglas production functions, and then give the result and the discussion from my own opinions. The first one is my purpose of these papers is I want to study the factors in tourism that have contributed to the economic transformation And I also want to examine how technology could progress to drive the development of the new emerging tourism industries. 3 questions should be answered in these papers. The first one is, how do these factors influence and transfer the tourism industry? And what's the contribution of these factors to tourism revenues? And the last one is, how can the government play a positive part in tourism policy makings? Let's go back to the introductions. Literature, I will pay more attention on the difference and combined. The difference is we should focus on Chinese transformation and upgrading of tourism business. The common is we have faced external factor, that is crisis triggered by the COVID-19 virus and the Ukraine war. The background, as you can see, during the 4th 5 years plan for tourism, China is aiming to enter the era of mass tourism. And you see that China is a vast country rich in natural resources, historic treasuries, all of which are contribute to the thriving tourism industry. And for this paper, I took the mixed methodologies combined with the qualitative and the quantitative. Let's go to the scholars' opinions. In this paper, we took the narratives to define the tourism. It refers to industry such as hotels, travel agency, tourism, and transportation firms and tourism business, and specializing in the buying and selling of the tourism. And for the Western researchers, they typically investigate and adapt the related production sectors of the region. They pay more attention on the factors that may be influence the development of tourism, and they define their significance in this process. However, compared with the Western authors, the scholars who focus on the research of China's tourism market, they tend to analyze the positive and negative impacts of new factors on the market structure and how to transfer and upgrade the tourism sector from a general perspective of one country's. On the contrary, Chinese scholars think that it is the structure and optimization must be postfully regulated within in these sectors. So in these literature references, I should take the mixed methodologies combined with the qualitative and quantitative. For the qualitative, I took the diamond models. It's related when we want to discuss in one industries, we usually took these diamond models describes how this industry have competitively advantage for contributing the development of one countries. So I divide into 4 dimensions. First one is the factor production. I divide into the primary level production and the advanced level. From the primary level, I focus on the natural resources and geographic locations. For the advanced level, I pay more attention on the infrastructure, constructions, high quality talents, and other experts. For the related and the supporting industry, usually the related industry has a lot of influence for this one industry. So I pay more attention into the catering, hotels, recreation, and transportation. We want to see how this industry influence the tourism. And for the demand conditions, as we can know the Maslow hierarchy of needs, we have to pay attention to the market, whether there are enough demands for this tourism industry. So I will pay attention into the domestic and the foreign markets for the demand condition. And the last one is the firm strategy, structure, and the rivalry. As you can see, there are a lot of companies in this such a industry. So we have to give the competitive analysis and the strategy group analysis for it. Besides my qualitative analysis, I combine with the Cobo-Douglas production functions. This is the equation of tourism industry production function that can be obtained by regression analysis using least squares. And beyond the regular square, the regular equation is related to the capital and the label. But in this circumstance, I add one factors in this equation, that is the online tourism market size. What is online tourism market size? I want to search some data from the data sources. I use the market of internet application user size, that is travel booking on the online platform. And I use these data to make a contribution to the revenue of tourism. You can see from the previous, I mentioned the diamond models, the factors of production from the natural resources and the advanced level factors. We can see China, it has a huge reach in the natural resources. As we can see the infrastructure, especially for the urban construction line, where is still increasing year by year. So we can hold a very optimistic view for the future natural resources. And based on the diamond log, we can use the Cobo-Douglas functions. As we can see, the relative elasticity of tourism online booking user is negative. That means that for every unit increase in tourism booking user in the region, tourism revenue will decrease by 3.627. And that's very interesting phenomenon, because when there are a lot of people prefer to choose the booking online, the revenue of the tourism will decrease. Maybe there are some factors influence behind this phenomena. I guess from my opinion that it may be influenced by, we define the tourism revenues. We usually define the tourism revenue as a traditional tourism revenues, and combine with the new elements into this function. So there will be a different phenomena for this. And for the demand conditions, as you can see, as the COVID-19 pandemic influence, there's a decreased demand for the market, no matter what in the domestic market or overseas market, there's a huge loose demand in these conditions. And related to the industry, as we see that there are some online platform, new platform emerging. So there's some influence with the traditional travel agency related to this such a field. And the last one, the operating revenue situation of tourism hotels provides insight in the industry states. Before the outbreak, the revenue is stable, and the profit in this industry was maintained 150 to 200 billion yuan. And since 2015, the taxes and other fees has been declining, and the government has set lower fees to promote the development of tourism. And the other factors we can see, there are Eastern region and compare with the Western regions, there's a disposable income gap between this. So it means that we have a lot of opportunities to promote the tourism industries. And let's go to the discussion. The gap between the natural resources and the resources of infrastructure reminds the direction of transformation tourism, which means the domestic market still has tremendous potentials, and the traditional travel models has undergone infrastructure changes. So a lot of people prefer to go to the countryside instead of go further or go foreign country. They are really like excursion to the periphery will become easier, because the countryside will be a favorable destination for short-term travel because of its peaceful terrain, sunny mountains, mouth watering. and so on. And for the demand condition, we can see there's a change in demand structures, and the demand consumers convert urban tourism to rural tourism and foreign tourism to domestic tourism. As we can see there before, there's events for just happened in the several days ago. The 20th CPC, the President Xi Jinping, he said their rural revitalization strategy is very important and will be a very increasing, representing a substantial potential market for domestic tourism growth. And what about the traditional agency? I think it undergo it will be undergo the information or transformation. For some business creates the digital platform, collaborate with e-commerce platform, or manage logistic and distribution via the internet. The digitalization of live services industry considerably increased, enhancing the transition from offline to online. And regarding to the firm strategy, I think the good firm strategy promote high speed. So the decrease in the number of travel agency is due to the impact of the epidemic on the one hand, and the rise of self-guide tool on the other hand. The type of traveling firm will change as well. And the other factors, as you can see, the income gap between the West and East reinforce the need to develop the tourism in the West. And the East has a high disposable income, and the West has abundant tourism resources. Similarly, Hungary has many beautiful small towns with many tourist attractions. In this way, people from the big city can travel to the surrounding towns, boosting the tourism in the town and the redistributing income. The government, for the Chinese government, they issue the voucher of tourism for customer. They will have a substantial economic impact. According to the data, hotel booking national wealth increased by 64% from June and by 25% from the same period in 2019 before the outbreak of the pandemic. Summary for this paper, I combine with the different methodology to discuss in such a circumstance during the pandemic, and the identification of this method influences the development, modernization, and the structure in transformation of the tourism industry in China. And the shift in the factor of production determines the future direction of tourism. E-commerce and online tourism will result in a dramatic change in the development model of the tourism. So in the future, I will pay more attention on the online travel agency and online marketplace. I think this will make a contribution for the future in development of tourism industry. Thank you for your time. Question and suggestion are welcome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ms. Chen. It was really great. And a quote from you, we have a lot of opportunity to promote tourism, and quote. And we can say that even though there is even bigger emphasis on domestic tourism in China today, but we heard and we are happy to accommodate the new needs, the new travel and tourism patterns. So congratulations once again. And now, last but not least, finally, it is my pleasure to announce that we have given a special prize to a researcher who approached the topic from a very different angle, a very different perspective. It is Ms. Réka Szabina Török, PhD student at the Faculty of Economics of the University of Szeged. In her dissertation, she examined how experiential marketing can help to strengthen the reputation of a Hungarian city. So Réka, the floor is yours. You are the last one. Please keep to the time, check the time all over. Okay, and we are happy to listen to your findings.
So it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the award as well. I won't introduce the topic because you have already introduced my topic, so thank you for that. So firstly, let me introduce the actuality of my topic. In recent decades, there has been a paradigm shift in consumer behavior and consumer expectations. And at the heart of this, there's an increasing emphasis on the importance of expectations. Just think about yourself. What would you like to experience when you are in Rome, Paris, or New York? I guess most of you answered the atmosphere, some unique experience, and things like that. That's exactly in the middle of this topic. At the same time, you know, China have opened its borders and became one of the strongest tourism markets. But as all we know, this market is really different from the ones in Europe, and that's why the host destinations must be prepared for the special needs and expectations, for example, hotel accessories or Chinese food, I mean the real Chinese food they accept. And finally, if we look at the tourism of Hungary, we can see that there's a big popularity about Budapest, the capital, but it's not the same with the regions and cities in the country. For example, my home country, what you can see on the screen as well. So with this in mind, I've asked myself the question, how can a major city or regional city use an experiential approach to attract Chinese travelers and engage them when choosing a destination? Before I can answer this question, I would like to go a little bit deeper in the literature part. I hope you can see it. Yeah, okay. So, when we look at the literature, we can see tourism experience and tourist experience as well. But these, for the first sight, this seems to be the same, but they are just similar and they are exactly different approaches. The first one, on the one hand, is the supplier or in the industrial side, when we focus on the service service provider and the experiential space around with all the elements. On the other hand, we focus on the consumer or the traveler who shapes its experiences. And we can say then in this case, the experience is an event associated with the past personal journey, whose special nature is that is indicated by the fact that it is fixed in the long-term memory of the consumer. And if we look at the middle, we can see that there are some approaches between the two sides, where also the consumer or the traveler is included and the environment. In this case, the traveler is an active creator of his or her experience, which is manifested through their interaction with the environment, so the supplier side. So I think right now we already know what tourism experience or tourist experience is about, but what makes it stand out? The meaningfulness, the memorability. Yeah, most of the new trends shows that the memorability is the key on this market. So one of the most biggest researcher team, Kim et al., found out a 7-factor model where they collected the most important elements of the memorability in case of tourism. First one is hedonism, which can be the main objective of a travel, because if we think about it, when we go for a travel, we would like to enjoy it and have many experiences. That's why it's the first element. Then we have refreshment, which was shown in many researches that people are searching for refreshment and escape from everyday life during their visitation. Then novelty is the next important factor, because when you are abroad or when you travel, you would like to experience some new culture, new experiences and everything about it. And next one will be the social interaction and the local culture that speaks for itself. And then a really interesting element is coming. This is the involvement. This is the most important from the view of experiential marketing, because many research shows that consumers prefer those experiences more, where they can create the experience together with the supplier, and not only just experiencing something done experience. Then we have the knowledge as the next chapter, because when you go for a travel, you might would like to enhance your knowledge with, for example, and your skills. For example, everybody is happy turning home from a travel and being able to say some new words in a different language of his or hers. And last but not least, we have the meaningfulness. From other studies, it came to light that travelers are seeking for physical, emotional, and spiritual fulfillment as well, and that stands out for this. And with the same approach, Lee et al. Have created a segmentation. These previous things are included in it. And then we can say that first segment is the entertainment and adventure seekers, who prefer diverse activities and attractions. They don't want to spend time with traveling from one place to another, and they prefer to have adventurous and stimulating experiences. So if I want to sum up, I can say they want to feel the good and fun adventure. The next segment is the life experience or culture explorers. Those are the ones who will choose the furthest this destination they can, because they would like to experience a unique experiential cultural trip, and they are a little bit price sensitive. That's why they will visit fewer countries, but they will spending more to enjoy that local culture there. And last but not least, from the perspective of my study, this is the most important, the relaxation and knowledge seekers, who prefer to have these type of trips. And the main perspective for them to find their inner harmony during their travels and feel relaxed. For them, personal safety is also a top priority, and they search reasonable prices and easy access to various programs and attractions. So with these in mind, I think we can go to my own study part, which I've started with situation analysis. I've got many data and statistics from places, but I highlighted the ones from the Hungarian Tourism Agency. According to
Reiko, you have 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes, okay?
Okay, according to this, 500%, more than 500% growth is experienced from 2010 to 2019 in the number of Chinese guests in Hungary, which is meant by huge numbers you can see on the screen. Another interesting thing is that China is the 9th largest inbound market for the inbound tourism of Budapest, and we can see that most of them prefer to stay and for a night and for a day as well in Budapest by the 74 and 75%. For the next step, I conducted some interviews with Chinese PhD students who know well my region, with a Chinese restaurant owner, and lastly with the director of the Confucius Institute in Szeged, who is a Hungarian guy but has really much information about this segment. So let's show you my results. But first, I would like to ask a question. Is this building familiar to anybody? I guess now you think that it's not relevant to this topic, but you will see why it is. The first finding was that there is a movie, the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is really famous in China, and they connect the main building with the Hungarian capital. However, it's in Germany. So, for example, one of my interviews experienced that when he sent a photo about the parliament, they asked if it was the Budapest Hotel. So that's why I think we should use the power of this movie for attracting more Chinese to our capital or to our country. Then value for money and personal safety were the best rated factors of Hungary because the costs are less here than the average in Europe, and they can see more for their money here than in other countries. Another interesting thing was that as Hungary was a former Soviet Union country, it was said to be friendly and safe, and it have remained so. So we should also use this in our communication with the Chinese tourists. Third finding was that we should build a compelling story around the destination to make the region attractive, because as I've experienced, for example, Italy has a great story around it, but Hungary has a lack of it, and as well its destinations. So my interviews said that they would like not only see the destination, but they would like to feel the destination. So they don't want to only see the architecture of the places, but they want to feel some insights about it. This story could be historical because of our common history of 1,000 years ago, or it could be cultural connected because of the extremely known of Petőfi, the poet, because Chinese know him very well from high school, but they don't know he was born in Hungary, so they would become really interested if they would know this. Then where should we communicate these? TikTok, as we have heard it from the previous presentations as well, and other Chinese apps like WeChat are really famous in this segment, and it would be really great to communicate this story and the insights about Hungary and the destination. It's because we don't have right now these channels. So for example, one of my PhD students have checked everything about Szeged and have checked the YouTube channel and the TikTok and haven't found anything. And that's a really big lack. So we should work on it. And finally, the last one is that Szeged with the region around can be an attractive destination for relaxation and knowledge seekers, because it's really a peaceful, quiet city. And if we wrap it together with Makó and Hódmezővásárhely, then it's really interesting for those who are searching for knowledge enhancement. Comparing to Budapest, it's more relaxing and quiet, and personal safety can be found here as well. So these were my findings, but of course, as every research has limitation, this had it as well. First one was that the sample was really small, so I should, in the further research, ask additional service providers who are Chinese living in Szeged. For example, the owner of Walk and Go, and another thing was that maybe the Chinese living in Europe has different motivations when they travel than the ones living in the mainland of China. So I should also measure this later. And finally, the quantitative methods on large sample would be also efficient to have more relevant information. So I can show you the conclusions that we should create a compelling story with historical or cultural links, what could be also communicated through a TikTok profile and content of the Hungarian Tourism Agency and the destinations TikTok profile and other profiles. And in this story, the affordability, the safetiness should be highlighted, and we should also focus on the power of the Grand Hotel Budapest. And finally, if we want to make Szeged and the region attractive, then we should wrap it together with Mako and Opusztaszer, and relax and knowledge seekers will love it. So that's all from my side. I hope you had some information, interesting information about this topic, and I'm interested about the laters. Thank you
Thank you very much, Reka. It was really great, and I think, or I am convinced that you can do it and Szeged can do it. And let me share with you some experience from a couple of years ago when I was staying in Science Hotel Szeged, and I saw a Chinese group coming in towards the evening hours. And I was happy that, wow, this group has already discovered Szeged. It's great. They are not only staying in Budapest, but in Szeged also. And when I was having my breakfast the next morning, I saw the same group leaving towards Croatia. So I think that this situation is going to change, not just as a result of your work and also Szilard's efforts from Confucius, but everybody who is interested in popularizing the Hungarian cities, not only Budapest, but all the big cities we have. So thank you. It was again great. And congratulations once again. Dear all, the conference is approaching to the end. But before I finish, I would like to once again thank the guest lecturers for accepting our invitation and enriching our knowledge with their thoughts and lectures about China CEE tourism. I would like to thank the authors for adding their share to the very actual topic. Your papers will be published in a nice booklet, once again behind me. And this booklet is going to be the part of a series about China-CEE's relations published by Eurasia Center. It's really beautiful, gold and red. Dear winners, let me express my appreciation for the work you have been doing and for taking your time and sharing with us the essence of your research today. I am well aware that the knowledge that has been accumulated in the whole project did not only result in a valuable conference, but will be an indispensable asset for professionals at the restart of tourism from China. So I am closing the conference by wishing you all the best and wishing that China-CEE's tourism will restart soon. The newly reintroduced Shanghai-Budapest direct flight is our first ray of hope. Don't forget that you will find a video record of the conference at www.eurasiacenter.hu, and we will contact all the winners personally about how to hand over your prizes. So congratulations once again. Thank you. Bye-bye to all. Thank you.